A priest who worked in Africa told me that he had once been invited to visit a family of one of his parishioners. And he had been living in Africa as a missionary for more than the years that he would like to remember. He was returning to India, and the family had invited him for a farewell meal. When I asked him what had touched him most during his missionary life there, he thought for a moment and he answered, "They called me their ancestor. They told him that he was to them like their father and mother." In the gospel today, St. Mark wants to identify the true brothers and sisters of Jesus. And looking at the people present there, we see four types of people: the crowd surrounding the Lord, his blood relatives, his enemies, and also his friends. First was the crowd that had gathered around Jesus in the house. So many that he and his disciples could not even eat. The crowds were following the Lord not because they loved the Lord. Instead, they needed something from God, from Jesus. Secondly was his family, his mother, brothers, and sisters. They had discovered that Jesus was apparently saying foolish things. They thought he was losing his mind. He wasn't even eating. They must have been embarrassed, as they thought having a relative who has gone mad. They wanted to force him to come back home because they were ashamed. Third was his enemies, the scribes and Pharisees who had seen him multiplying loaves of bread, curing the sick, and raising the dead, and attributed his power to Satan. He's from Satan, he's diabolical. He's not from God, they said. They were certainly not his friends. And the fourth group were his followers, especially his disciples. And they were not related by blood, but only by faith and love. When he spoke, they listened. And when other people saw them, they were reminded of the presence of Jesus. Notice that the disciples of Jesus sat in a circle. It was not Jesus up front, the congregation in the pews, or a committee sitting around a conference table. They were in a family circle. Which group do we belong? Which circle of Jesus' friendship do we belong? Most of us have a little of each group in us. We want to know what is going on, like the crowd. We want to be seen doing what the crowd does. We don't want to be embarrassed by identifying with the Lord. So we can talk about him at home or in the office. We don't want to be seen with a Bible or rosary beads or a pro-life bumper sticker. But we do want to follow the Lord, maybe at a little distance, and do a little of what Jesus does or asks us to do. And we certainly don't want to be an outright enemy too. What do we need to do? What do we need to do to be part of Jesus' family? To be a brother, to be a sister, to be a mother? What can we do to be connected by faith and love? What do we need to do God's will? Maybe we have an example, the saint of today, St. Francis de Sales, who took the words of Christ very seriously. "Learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart." And his perennial meekness and sunny disposition won him the title, a gentleman saint. He in his humble disposition and divine work became everything to all, as we heard in the opening prayer of today's Mass. He practiced his axiom his own axiom, which says, "A spoon full of honey attracts more flies than a barrel full of vinegar." A will to follow Jesus in word, deed, and thought won him the membership to Jesus' family. St. Francis de Sales, pray for us.